Ainne stood at the iron gate of Greenwood High School with her backpack held tightly against her chest, as if it were the only solid thing keeping her steady. The morning air carried the sound of laughter, hurried footsteps, and the low hum of a place where everyone already belonged. Everyone except her. New schools always felt the same to Ainne, unfamiliar corridors, faces that looked through you instead of at you, and the quiet pressure to become someone acceptable before the day ended. She took a slow breath, adjusted the strap on her shoulder, and stepped inside. Prince was already there, leaning against the notice board near the assembly ground, pretending to read announcements he had memorized weeks ago. He liked standing there because it gave him a clear view of the school without being dragged into conversations he didn't care about. He wasn't unpopular, just selective with his attention. People knew him as calm, intelligent and distant, the kind of student teachers trusted and classmates quietly respected. When he looked up, his eyes caught sight of Ainne walking past the gate, and something about the way she paused, uncertain but determined, made him look twice. Ainne's first class was English, and she arrived just as the bell rang. The teacher looked at her attendance sheet, smiled politely, and asked her to introduce herself. Ainne did so in a soft but clear voice, her accent slightly different, her words carefully chosen. She felt dozens of eyes on her, measuring, judging, forgetting. When the teacher pointed to an empty seat near the window, Ainne walked toward it, unaware that Prince was watching from 2 rows behind, noticing how she preferred the window over the comfort of the crowd. Days passed quietly. Ainne learned the school's rhythm, the strict morning assembly, the noisy lunch breaks, the sudden silence when teachers entered. She spoke little, listened a lot, and wrote constantly in a small notebook she carried everywhere. Prince noticed these things without meaning to. He noticed how she stayed back after class to ask questions, how she helped a classmate without being asked, how she smiled to herself while reading, as if the world inside her book was kinder than the one outside. Their first real interaction happened by accident. In the library, Ainne reached for a book on the top shelf at the same time Prince did. Their hands brushed briefly, and both pulled back instantly. Prince apologized, surprised at himself for feeling awkward. Ainne smiled a simple, genuine smile and said it was fine. They ended up talking about the book, not deeply, not dramatically, just 2 students sharing opinions. But when they walked out of the library, something unspoken lingered between them, light and curious. From then on, their paths crossed more often. Sometimes Prince would save her a seat without making it obvious. Sometimes Ainne would ask him about homework even when she already knew the answer. Their conversations stayed safe, comfortable, filled with small laughs and thoughtful pauses. Neither of them rushed anything, and maybe that was why it felt real. In a place where everything moved fast, they were learning to slow down around each other. Rumors, of course, didn't stay quiet. Classmates whispered, friends teased, and assumptions formed before either of them understood what was happening. Ainne felt the weight of it more than Prince did. Being new meant being watched, and she worried about being reduced to a story others told for her. Prince sensed her distance one afternoon when she avoided sitting near him. Instead of confronting her, he waited, trusting that forcing words would only push her further away. It was Ainne who finally spoke. After school, as the sun dipped low and students rushed home, she found Prince near the same notice board where he often stood. She told him she didn't want misunderstandings, that she valued peace more than attention. Prince listened without interrupting, then nodded. He said he understood that whatever they shared didn't need labels or explanations. That moment, simple and honest, became the foundation of something stronger than rumors. They began studying together, not as a statement but as a habit. Prince helped Ainne with mathematics, breaking problems down patiently. Ainne helped Prince with literature, showing him how emotions could exist between lines, not just in answers. They challenged each other quietly, respectfully, growing not just closer, but better. Teachers noticed the improvement, classmates noticed the calm confidence they carried, and slowly the whispers faded. There were difficult days too. Ainne missed her old home, her old friends, the comfort of familiarity. Prince carried expectations he never spoke about, pressure to always be composed, always correct. On those days, they didn't try to fix each other. They simply sat together, sometimes talking, sometimes not, understanding that presence itself could be enough. The school's annual cultural event approached, filling the campus with energy and chaos. Ainne was encouraged to participate, her writing talent catching a teacher's attention. Prince supported her quietly, helping her rehearse, reminding her that her voice mattered. On the day of the event, as Ainne stood on stage reading her original piece about change, courage, and finding light in unfamiliar places, Prince felt a pride he didn't fully understand. It wasn't ownership or admiration alone, it was respect. When applause filled the hall, Ainne's eyes searched the crowd and found Prince. He didn't clap loudly or cheer. He simply smiled and nodded, as if saying, "You did exactly what you were meant to do." That moment stayed with her longer than the applause ever could. Their bond never turned dramatic or loud. There were no grand declarations, no rushed promises. Instead, there were shared lunches, exchanged books, quiet encouragement before exams, and honest conversations about dreams beyond school walls. They talked about futures that didn't depend on each other, yet somehow included the space to walk side by side for as long as life allowed. On the last day of the academic year, Ainne and Prince sat near the window where she had first been assigned a seat. The classroom was empty, desks scratched with memories, sunlight spilling in softly. Ainne thanked Prince for making the school feel less heavy. Prince replied that she had changed the way he saw familiar places. They didn't promise forever. They didn't need to. What they had was real, present, and strong enough to stand on its own. As they walked out of Greenwood High School together, not holding hands but moving in the same direction, it was clear that their story wasn't defined by being a school love story. It was a story about two people who met at the right moment, chose understanding over noise, and learned that sometimes the purest connections are the ones that grow quietly without forcing their way into the world. And long after the school corridors emptied, the memory of Ainne and Prince remained, not as gossip, not as drama, but as a reminder that new beginnings don't always arrive loudly. Sometimes they simply walk in through the gate, carrying a notebook, a calm smile, and the possibility of something real.